Lost Ark. Oh boy. Our Western release was delayed and I was not expecting it. At the time, the day of the announcement, I made a video covering what they told us, and basically I accepted the delay and figured, well, I guess they need more time based on what they said, and if they need that, I'm fine to give them that. However, a very popular view right now is that the real reason for this delay is New World, another MMORPG. At the time, the day of that announcement, I didn't believe that and said so in the video. Today though, about 2 weeks later, after some reflection, I think I was very wrong. Smilegate decided to work with Amazon Games to bring the game to the West as its publisher. Amazon are obviously huge, they have a lot of money, a lot of resources to do things like this. They've been working in games recently with their studio Amazon Games and trying to publish a load of games with a pretty messy history. But I still thought Amazon was a good choice because, you know, resources, and hey, this time they don't develop the game, they just host it. What can go wrong? How can they mess this up too? Well, apparently they can. Let's just look at their history quickly when it comes to developing and publishing games. They went at it, working on a bunch of different things, 2 different hero brawler games in the form of Breakaway and Crucible, being worked on at the same time by 2 different studios under the publisher Amazon Games. That was Double Helix, who were working on Breakaway, and Relentless Studios, who were working on Crucible. 2 different teams working on 2 different games that fall under the similar genre of hero brawler. Both of these games were eventually cancelled though. Breakaway before it even got going, and Crucible after an absolute disaster launch where they clearly released it unfinished and unrealized. But not to worry, at the same time that Breakaway and Crucible were being developed by those 2 different teams, 2 other games were being developed under Amazon Games. Both actually huge MMORPGs. These take huge amounts of resources to create and a long time span at that. It's big investments. A Lord of the Rings MMO and the one most are probably going to know, New World. Once again, both of these MMOs were to be created by 2 completely separate studios, comprised of 2 different teams who impacted one another in essentially no way. Unfortunately, the Lord of the Rings MMO was cancelled, but New World had continued. Although it had been delayed, you know, largely and completely reworked at its very core and concept from what it was to what we see today. So in any case, a very messy history so far for Amazon Games. But one thing is still true, right? They have a lot of money and a lot of resources to make things. Smilegate picked Amazon Games to publish their game in the West. They have the resources, and this time, all they need to do is translate the game and then host it. They don't need to develop it in any way. So yeah, I genuinely believe this was a good choice by Smilegates to go for Amazon Games, and I thought they would knock it out the park. This would be their first clean win. Again, I was wrong. The release of Lost Ark here in the West has been delayed, right? Now planned for sometime 2022, and there's a beta in November. They gave us this post where they apologized and claimed the task was more than they expected, and they're still currently squashing bugs. That with the new content they're actually bringing to our version early from the Korean version, well, that's added to their original planned workload. That's fair, but really, is it that much to force the game back another 6 months or more? I don't know about that. Maybe, but I don't know about that. At this point, something has obviously happened to cause this, and it might not be what they're actually telling us. The fans of Lost Ark who've been waiting all these years for this release are not happy, and that's fair. A lot of people are just not buying the story they told us. Since this is an MMORPG and it's under Amazon Games, and Amazon Games are working on another MMO called New World they're about to release, people are pointing at New World as the real reason. Maybe Amazon Games and their very messy history with releasing games has actually caused this. Maybe they decided that New World needs to get the best chance it can get. They don't want another big MMO on the market around the time that New World is coming out. Furthermore, the squash bug comment seems to be a flat out lie. Another great creator, Kira TV, brought up some great points about this part of the post. Amazon aren't developing this game. They're not creating any code for this version of the game. They are just the people providing the service and then hosting it. After sure, the translation of it. For them to have bugs that don't exist in, say, I don't know, the Russian release, well, that would require them to have different code that they've created for the Western version. That doesn't make sense. They are not adding things themselves, they are hosting it. It's for Smilegate to add new content and write new code, and then Amazon to just implement that new version to the Western release. So what are they actually talking about when they say squash bugs? Maybe translation errors they need to fix? That doesn't sound like something that's going to take another 6 months at least. So at this point I want to bring up my initial reaction to hearing this explanation that New World caused the delay of Lost Ark. I didn't believe that, and I disregarded it in my initial reaction. But yeah, after some time to think about it, seeing different perspectives, different explanations, different thoughts, I think I was wrong. There is a real possibility that New World caused this delay. The reasoning in that Lost Ark post for this delay just feels very shallow. It's not strong enough reasoning to say they need more than half a year to finish what they planned to have done months ago. To say that the new content they're adding from this current Korean version, namely a class and a few other things, will delay it this hard, it feels too much. It's not content they're creating, it already exists, they're just translating it and making sure that it runs smoothly. There's something that still irks me with, the community's reaction to this. There's people, even big creators, who've said some pretty wild things in regards to it. Particularly the thing about people who are working on New World being in any way involved in Lost Ark. To me, that's ridiculous, right? As I pointed out before, Amazon is a massive company and decided to create many games at once. To do so, they don't have one team working on multiple things. That's ridiculous. They're completely different studios based in completely different places, working on different projects. Even projects that are under a similar genre like Breakaway and Crucible were. To say that they would pull a section of, say, New World's team off of New World before it's even released, and let's be honest, during its key development period, where this game is probably releasing when it could use some more development, that just seems a bit too outlandish to me. I don't believe that anyone working on New World is involved in the Lost Ark thing. Still though, I think it's very possible that New World is the key reason for Lost Ark's delay. They want New World to do well, right? And it does make sense that another MMORPG, even if it's a very different MMORPG, would still be competition they don't want. And since they're in control of both games, I guess they have the power to do this, and seemingly shirk off the real reason onto other things like squashing bugs. The worst part about this for me is seeing other Lost Ark creators like Siwo, for example, really upset about this situation. That guy basically makes the best Lost Ark content out there right now. He's so passionate and positive about the game, and that's such a good thing to have in the community. To see his reaction and how disheartened he is by this, how he is questioning the real reasoning behind the delay, well, that definitely made me think I might have been wrong, and that New World could actually be the reason. It just feels so bitter to see a game like Lost Ark, a game that is literally published and playable in a Korean version, in a Japanese version, and the most recent Russian version, that we, for some reason, for the West version, get a delay, that the others, to my knowledge, didn't have to deal with it all. Lost Ark is the second most played game in Korea right now. It is not an irrelevant game. It will do very well at its launch in the West, worst case scenario, and then obviously potentially be a very successful MMO from then on. Meanwhile, New World might be okay, might do well, but I'm not convinced that it will long term. Ultimately, Lost Ark will release in the West someday, but it won't be until I play the beta in November that I'll be convinced and maybe excited again. I do feel like I've lost a lot of enthusiasm because of this. And I can say for sure that I no longer think Amazon Games was the best choice for the Western releases publisher, but what can you do? The reasoning they gave us, I look at it now and it just feels like I'm being lied to. If the reason actually is because of New World, I'd feel very sour about that. And this isn't meant to be a video just bashing New World. We are going to check it out and try it when it comes out, but New World to me, it looks alright, hopefully good, where Lost Ark looks incredible. I know which one I want to play more. Lost Ark is a finished game ready to go, and New World, it still seems unfinished to me. But what do you guys think then? Is New World the real reason for the delay? My feeling at this point is that it isn't what they told us, something happened, and it could be New World. Anyway, that's it for now. Until next time, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.